The Ellis Park disaster of 2001, where 43 football fans lost their life when a Soweto derby between Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates had to be stopped. It was a Kaizer Chiefs home match, so the PRO at the time, Patko Mafani, was also the MC on the night. We did have a couple of technical difficulties. I think we've sorted them out. Patko, are you here with us again?
Yes, I can hear you.
Patko, can you take us through what happened at that moment when you told everybody to put down their vuvuzelas, when the gravity of the situation really started to sink in for all those that were there?
Well, I'm not sure if I heard your question correctly, but I do remember that more than 100 supporters had been injured when the medical staff and emergency services came to the field with trucks and helicopters. We already had experienced serious damage, people dying, some of them in the moat coming down. They were crashed as they were coming down, and some were crashed outside during the pushing. And from there, after the bodies were removed, then we had to focus on the injured ones to make sure that the numbers did not grow. And we had to rush those people. They were rushed to Johannesburg General Hospital. And I remember I was at Joburg Jail until the early hours of the morning, because some of them did not even have transport to go back home. Some did not know how they were going to go back home. So I had to take some of those, I think about 14 of them or so, take my house, so that the next morning we would make sure that we arrange that they have transport to go back home. It was a traumatic experience, to be honest with you.
You had come in as the team's PRO, and Kaizer Chiefs as well as Orlando Pirates were still trying to come to terms with what happened in the Orkney disaster in 1991, where 41 fans lost their lives during a stampede. Do you think that there wasn't a sufficient outcry during that disaster that we saw something like this happen at Ellis Park?
Sorry, Violin, I lost you.
Patko, you'd come in and the teams were trying to still live down the 1991 disaster in Orkney, which killed 41 people. Do you think that the outcry wasn't loud enough then, 10 years prior to the Ellis Park disaster, that we saw something like we did in Johannesburg?
Yeah, look, the disaster at Orkney, for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's because of the magnitude. It was not as massive in numbers of lives lost like the one at Ellis Park Stadium. And that's why then President Thabo Mbeki appointed a commission of inquiry. He appointed Judge Bernard Ngwepe to investigate and answer the question that says, what went wrong? And so all of us from the football fraternity, including the South African police services, the private security companies, stadium management, and all of us then went to attend the commission of inquiry, I think for more than a month at Pritchard Street, answering critical and pertinent questions that would ensure that not only do we provide answers in terms of what went wrong, but also how do we avoid an incident of this nature in the future, and by the time the commission ended, when Judge Ngwepe submitted the findings and resolutions of, or rather recommendations of the commission to President Thabo Mbeki and Minister of Sport, Nonde Balfour, it was clear that there would be no less than 5 very critical resolutions out of this. That number one, Chiefs and Pirates would never again, and any game that would be classified or categorized as a Category A game from a disaster management and security point of view, because the games that would attract 40,000 and more would be classified as category A games from a security point of view. And those that would attract about 15 to 20,000 would be categorized as B. And then those games that would attract crowds such as 5 to 10,000 would be classified as category C games. So our games were mostly category A or category B games. And so the Commission of Inquiry then made recommendations that Chiefs and Pirates, which is always a category A game, should never again, never be played during midweek. 1. 2, that those kind of games must never be played at night, because the spectators come from everywhere, literally everywhere, all the provinces of South Africa and beyond, from Lesotho, from Swaziland, from Botswana. And so the category A games, Chiefs, Pirates, specifically the Soweto Derby, would only be played over the weekend in the afternoon to avoid people rushing from all of these places. And this causes, a panic and ending up, in a stampede. And thirdly, that tickets for these games would be pre-sold, and that no tickets would ever be sold again at the stadium, and that no tickets would ever be sold again on match day. Now, that's important. And, Violin, it pleases me that since then, the football authorities, specifically the two chairpersons of Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates and the PSL, have ensured that this never happens. By the time we were organizing the 2010 FIFA World Cup, we had these systems in place. It was easy for us to plug into these systems and take the FIFA template of disaster management and safety and move from what our learnings had been from Auckland Park going forward, So yeah, I don't think we would have such a stampede again with the systems that are now in place from the learnings of the Ellis Park disaster. Sad and bad as it was, traumatic as it was, at least South Africa learned something from a sporting event point of view.
Patco, thank you so
stampedes
much.
Of that nature.
Patco, thank you so much for your contribution as we remember 20 years since the 2001 Ellis Park disaster. The youngest victim was 11-year-old Roswin Andre Nation, who had attended the match with his dad, Roy. Last year, November, Roy passed away suddenly, and he leaves behind his wife, Annette, daughters Bianca and Rubain, and adopted son, Ruwain. Annette, the mom of Roswin, joins me now. Very good morning and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you, Valen, and good morning to the viewers.
I know it's a difficult time for you and the family. Can you just take us back to 20 years ago and what actually happened that night with Roswin and Roy?
Yes, that fateful night, Valen. I remember Roy and Roswin and my cousin's husband, Calvin, and their 3 boys, leaving, I think it was around about 4 o'clock to go to the stadium. And I remember Roswin being in a hurry. He's even said to his dad, Daddy, come, we're going to be late, And I said this before. And I look at it now and I think, late for what, Roswin? Late to meet with his maker. And I remember Roy's cousin came to visit just before that. So a few words and they left and they picked Calvin in and they went to stadium. And later that evening, my mom-in-law called from Pretoria. But she sounded very social, how are you? Like she was always, how are you? And she asked me, where's Roy? Did you see what happened at the stadium? Is Roy gone to stadium? And I remember I said to her, yes. Well, she said to me, people died. There's people who passed away at the stadium. And I think she said 15 people or so passed away at the stadium. And I don't know what happened afterwards. I asked her afterwards, and I didn't know. I don't know if I dropped the phone or what happened, but I switched on the TV in the lounge because I was in the bedroom, and I saw my cousin Alan's sons walk across the field the soccer field. And I picked up the phone to call her, and I remember calling my brother Roland Watson and his wife, and I remember them coming to me, and we were gonna go to the police station. At the time, you become so stupid. I don't want to say you're so confused. You don't know what to do. But long story, Roy prepared me. He phoned his cousin in Ellis Park to be with me, so that when he breaks the news, that I won't be alone. But they live in Klipspruit, so by the time they got to me, he already called me to say this is what happened. And I remember I said to him, no, just check. Maybe it's just his leg is broken, or maybe his arm is broken or something like it, but not gone, not gone, but maybe just something is broken. Go check again, Roy. And at the time, my brother and them were with me and my cousin, and we drove to Ellen's house, to Calvin's wife's house. Yeah. And so when Roy called me, we went back home, and the news broke, and next best thing, I just...
Annette, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to interrupt you because unfortunately we've run out of time. I know it's a very emotional time for you and the family, also grieving the loss of your husband just a couple of months ago and remembering the passing of your then 11-year-old son. We appreciate your time here on Morning Live. That was Annette Nation, who was the mother of the youngest victim of the 2001 Ellis Park disaster. And yeah, that's how we come to the end of your Focus on Sport. I will see you again tomorrow. It's back to Leanne and Sakina.
What a sad story. I'm just so, like, the signal. Because I just, you want to hear more. You so want to hear more. But that is just devastating. Thank you for organising that, Phelan. But yeah, as you say, we've got to say goodbye, unfortunately, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Love and light to Annette Nation and to everybody who lost family members on that day. It's a very triggering thing, and the anniversaries of deaths of loved ones is a very real thing. So much love to everybody.